So you're looking to become a full-time remote worker, digital nomad, location-independent person, traveling the world while working and experiencing cultures, different places around the world, maybe living more cheaply in different countries around the world, and overall just having a bit of an experience. Ideally on some beaches. Maybe I have some thoughts for you. Now, I've been a digital nomad / remote worker, independent of locations and time zones twice in my life now, and both times for about 2 years at this point. Right now, we are doing the same thing again. And I have to tell you, it can be the most exhilarating and amazing, but at the same time, it can also be incredibly exhausting and really, really hard. Especially, in my opinion, if you haven't really made it financially, have a stable income of some sorts, or you are a remote worker that can rely on some type of a job that will continuously give you income throughout the time that you are going on these adventures. One of the greatest benefits of being location independent is that you can spend your time in places that many others will only ever visit in their holidays. And that to me is one of the greatest opportunities to be able to experience different places for much, much longer in comparison to the regular 2 weeks in Thailand vacation that you might be able to do. Being able to actually live in places like Chiang Mai or Koh Samui or Koh Tao and places like that for extended periods of time, for a month, maybe 2, maybe even 3 months in any given place. The same thing can be true for Bali or Spain or Australia or even the US. Then you are most likely going to experience these places in a very different way in comparison to the adventurer that's just backpacking, they've taken a year off or half a year in a sabbatical, or you are on that 2-week vacation. In all of those cases, you're most likely going to really full-on pack that time with as much of an adventure as possible. But as a remote worker and digital nomad, you are a working person. Most cases, you don't have time to adventure every single day. At least I found that to be true. A place like Thailand and even Bali to some extent, those are great for the person that wants to hunker down, you want to get work done, you want to focus on your business and growth because, one, there's tons of people that are similar to you that are coming together in places like that. And 2, you actually can live a bit of a different life there than you would be able to do in other places. For me personally, my experience was coming from a small town in Germany where my living expenses, including rent, were around maybe 1,200 euros a month. That is rent, insurance, food, and all of those things. Now, that means that I'm cooking at home every single meal, for example. Now, transferring that same lifestyle to Thailand, you can actually go out for dinner much more in a place like Chiang Mai, and you have that option. And with a cheaper-ish rent, for example, in the short-term rental market, you can also get something that is about the same price for 1,200 euros with this insurances, rent, and eating out. And that, of course, is a very different lifestyle because it kind of resembles what you would be able to get if you are a, let's say, medium wealthy person in Berlin or New York, or you are just making good money in a Western city. Because a meal in a Western city in Europe probably costs around 10 to 15 euros if you are on the cheap-ish end. Now, transfer that to Thailand, where you actually can go out for dinner and maybe spend 3 euros or sometimes even 2 euros. Of course, you can also spend more. Let's say you go to a fancier burger place and you spend 8 euros for something that, again, in a place like Germany, would probably cost you around 12 to 15 euros. So you have this transfer of wealth or that arbitration of wealth where you can actually go much further with the same amount of money. But of course, that's just one of those aspects. For me, I found that being in these environments is oftentimes also incredibly inspiring because you have so many other people around you that might be on a similar trajectory. And especially if you are from a smaller town, you might not find the same kind of motivated and inspired people that you would if you go to such a hub. And of course, being able to, let's say, move to San Francisco to try to get into the co-working spaces there, that is way more expensive than going to a place like Chiang Mai, where a similar type of person converges, and that way you can kind of build on that inspiration, that motivation, those co-working space experiences, and overall that type of lifestyle that you would be able to get in a place like that. However, there's of course also a bunch of other downsides that come with the life without a home base and being on the road constantly. For one, you really have to be a bit of a minimalist in terms of what you can bring, because you don't really want to spend an exuberant amount of money every single time you fly. And we have learned this the hard way because we are in a profession where we need video equipment, we need lights or cameras, tripods and stuff like that. So we end up bringing, as the two people that we are traveling together, we have 3 suitcases, we have 2 relatively big backpacks, and when we fly in a long distance flight, we usually have to check that extra luggage as extra cost. And we have stomached that cost because we say this is basically our work, this is what we need to get our work done, but it also is a clear indicator that being a digital nomad is much more possible for certain professions than it is for others. Could I just strip everything back down and say, let's just film everything on the smartphone that we have in our pocket? Sure, that's an option. But I also have a certain level of quality in my head that I want to produce, so I am doing that sacrifice, so to speak, to bring the extra equipment, carry the extra weight, and produce that quality content. But if you are someone that, for example, exclusively works on their laptop, maybe you need a second screen and there are options out there, then of course this is a very different topic for you in comparison to someone that needs much more equipment and stuff to work with. Another challenge that you might be faced with when you are doing this type of travel lifestyle while being also on a working situation is that you might find people that are in vastly different stages in life or have decided to live their life very differently. What I mean by that is that you, on one hand, will probably find the remote worker that has a relatively regular job and sometimes even a little bit of a strange job because they work on a computer, but their work hours are from 9 p.m. until 3 in the morning because they're working in the US time zone while they're in Thailand. But then you also have the business owner that basically just does emails for 2 or 3 hours per day and the rest is off time. Being in that environment where you have these vastly different amounts of work that are necessary to earn a certain income, and then having those adventure opportunities around you, meeting these same people at a meetup, but then being faced with the fact that you might have to work these long hours because you're currently in the building phase of your business, but at the same time you have all of these very interesting people around you that are in very different stages of their business or of their life, you really have to make a decision what to focus on. And I've seen this numbers of times when I was on different types of workations or events, as well as just in co-working spaces, that people get drawn to the adventure and the lifestyle and the activities that you can do and completely forget that they probably also should sit down and just be there to work. And sometimes that just means that you have to lock yourself in your hotel room and except for eating, you just don't leave. Because it can be so alluring and so distracting to have all of these opportunities right there around you. Having the mental fortitude to actually keep strict with yourself and basically not go for the candy is sometimes really, really hard. Now, I don't want this video to sound discouraging. I still think that there's tremendous opportunity in being location independent and being able to travel whenever you want to, spend time with the different people that you meet on these adventures, and overall grow as a person. But I still think that it's important to also be aware of some of the drawbacks that come with the benefits. Now, if you have experience as a digital nomad or a traveling remote worker, please put that in the comment section down below so we have a bit of an exchange going on there. And if you have a question on the topic, of course, put that in the comment section as well, because then I can make a video about it. And with that said, I hope you have an amazing day, make your life your adventure, and I will see you in another one.